No, I don't think it's about revenge. I think what you'll have is two, in my opinion, two very good teams, two very attack-minded teams going all out to win a very tough game. North East are always, I think, very, very dangerous opponents. They were last year, and they certainly are this year. I think Juan Pedro Benali's done an amazing job, and culminating in North East for we have the perception the glamorous clubs in India, and ourselves and North East, Chennai, North East, and probably among the lower budgeted teams. But what we've shown is that we have good teams, and for North East to go and win the Durand Cup, I think that gave everybody, and it certainly showed everybody in the whole area, a tremendous lift. I think we're all well aware. I certainly am well aware of the hard work that everybody's doing behind the scenes at North East with the youth programmes and everything else. And this area is well known for fantastic young players. So that's great in the big landscape of Indian football, and it will help North East for many years to come. So I'm under no illusions how difficult the game will be. This is a very good side, a very dangerous side. I thought they had a good team last year. I think the team has got better this year. Got some very good players. Obviously the foreign players add to the quality they have, but equally domestic players. The young boys have got. I mean, Partim Bruno, who's outstanding, but I think Jithan's improved enormously in the last year under Juan Pedro. So they have a number of players that are a real threat. So we're very respectful of the quality of the North East staff, but equally we know we have a good team. We know we have good players. We know we can stand toe to toe with the best teams in this league when we're at our best. So that's the focus for us, being very respectful of our opponents, but knowing that we have to focus on our qualities, because in truth we should probably be sitting with certainly 7-9 points already. In the last two games alone we've had just under 40 goal scoring chances, so we know that we have to be more clinical. We're creating chances. We're going to be I believe certainly a very, very good team this year, but this will be a great test for us. Another away game, because obviously the way the schedule's been given, that 7 of our first 10 games will be away from home. But again, that's not anything we fear. It's a challenge we look forward to. We've already been away. We've took 4 points from our 2 away games. Should have been 6. So we come here knowing that we have to be at our very best. But it's a great game. I'm looking forward to it. Juan Pedro, out with being an outstanding football coach. He's a good friend of mine, and more importantly, he's a really, really good man. So we know, as I say, we got on well, really good, get a great relationship, but we know for the duration of the match that we do everything in our power to try and win the game for our respective clubs. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing them, and I'm looking forward to playing against a very good North East side for sure.
Coach, you are playing your first game after the break, so how difficult it is?
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant question for a number of reasons. I think, and this is why even last year the league was a bit stop-start, if you remember, with international breaks and such forth. And I think as a coach, none of the coaches, we have to have the international breaks, we understand that, but none of us as coaches really want them, because we want continuity, we want consistency. And if I look back to even our first game we played at Odisha, then we were 12 days without a game, then we had 2 games in 5 days, then we don't play for 16 days. So of course it's a challenge. And then even then 5 days ago we had a friendly game against Go Club Kerala, just a bounce game to get everybody minutes. But since then we had a recovery day the following day, but we haven't been able to train the last 3 days because obviously the severe weather in Chennai. And one thing is football, more importantly, we want to make sure that everybody's safe and well in Chennai. So that's first, that's the priority. Then the football becomes secondary, because we have to make sure that everybody's well and healthy. So, but in terms of the football aspect, so I actually want to thank North East for allowing us, because obviously we came a day early because of the flights. There was a danger that the flights in Chennai would be cancelled today. So in preparation we came a day early, and Juan Pedro and his staff allowed us now to use the facility for training. So I want to thank them for that. It shows the sporting integrity that North East have. But again, it allows us now to train for the first day in 4 days. So out with the international break, of course it's been a challenge, but listen, that's what football does. Nothing's ever smooth, nothing's ever easy. You get a look at my face, you get a few punches in the nose. You don't get this look and this ugly without having a few hits in football. So yeah, we'll be ready for it. We're looking forward to it. I have a team, a group of players I love working with. They're honest. We know we can add little bits of quality to our play, And if we do that, we'll be able, as I said before, we'll be able to stand there and play against the very best teams in the league. So yeah, the breaks are a challenge for sure, but it's something as a coach and Juan Pedro myself. I mean, we're very experienced in that respect. We've been about for a lot of years, so we just have to make the best of that and make sure the boys are ready for an important game tomorrow night.
Ankit, you want to add to that? I mean, how difficult it is for you to be prepared and to keep your focus during the break and then coming back and playing an away game?
Yeah, it's because as coach said that we have a rhythm, and when you have get a break for 16 days or 2 weeks, the rhythm breaks, and then again you have to get back into the shape and training. And unfortunately, because of the weather condition, we were not able to train yesterday in Chennai. But that's how football works and life works. So we have to take it, and we have to be ready for tomorrow's important game, and we'll put a good effort tomorrow.
Sorry, in respect of the international break, the one, or certainly one of the really good things about it was the fact that obviously young Napti made his international debut, and obviously with Farouk coming back into, because Farouk's injury was sustained with the national team 2 years ago. You know, people said, oh, he hadn't played for 2 years. The reason being he sustained an injury when he knocked the ball back for Sunil Shetty to score such an important goal. He missed a year of football, now he's coming back into. So it was great for Farouk to get back in the international fold and obviously score. Anytime you score anytime you play for your country is a huge honour, but to score takes it to another level. So we're delighted in that aspect. Great to get the two boys back. They haven't trained with us since, so this will be their first training session since the international break that you mentioned. But it'll be good to get them back in training with us today, and then we'll pick the team accordingly that we think can be really competitive against a very good North East side.
Coach, not many clubs wanted to take a bet on Farouk given his long gap. You took it, and he's giving you rewards. What is the thing that you said to him to motivate him?
Yeah, I mean, Farouk's he's a very clever footballer. Farouk, I mean, reminds me he's a lot of football intelligence. And believe it or not, my first game in India in season 1920 was against Farouk. Farouk played for Jamshedpur. That was my first game, and he actually punched the ball into the net in the 92nd minute to get a 1-1 draw for Jamshedpur. I think it was Crystal Jones, the referee that night, that missed it. But anyway, that's that aside. But that game, I mean, Farouk really caught my eye, because it's not often that, because you're so engrossed in your own team, somebody needs to have a really good performance from the opposition, you know, when you're looking to really catch your eye. And Farouk did that night, really caught my eye, and I thought, that's a wonderfully talented player. Continued to watch him in the games, liked everything about him, his balance. He can play 2 or 3 positions, but he's very pleasing on the ball. He's a hard worker. And then obviously, as you know, I brought him back from Mumbai. When he went to Mumbai, because of how well he'd done at Jamshedpur, and he went to an elite club like Mumbai. And then I had the opportunity to bring him back, which I did. He was doing great, and then obviously he picked up that, where a lot of players can be a career-threatening injury. It's such a difficult injury. People do come back, but to get back to the heights, the level you've been before, sometimes takes time. And I think that's what's happened. It takes you time to get rhythm, get confidence, feeling good about yourself. And Farouk went away, and I gave him a programme in the pre-season, you know, to focus, come back, so that he was coming back to the boy I knew he was. He did really well for me last year. And he'd be the first to say that those games he was at such a high level, other games he a little dropped. So it's just getting that continuity and that consistency with him. And hopefully this season he can bring, you know, what I know he has. So we certainly try and give him the belief, the confidence, the trust that a coach has got to give his players. And hopefully, not only domestically, first and foremost for Chennai, hopefully we and the country reap the rewards. But ultimately, as much as we can pass that information on, the biggest single player in it is Farouk. He's the one that deserves any credit, because he's the one that worked harder. He's the one that's had the mentality to overcome such a severe injury. And any of those boys that come back from those injuries, they need to be applauded, because it can be a real mental strain trying to get yourself back to that level. So let's hope moving forward Farouk continues to shine, and if he does, then the national team will be better for it.
Silly question, man. So you are known as the Robin Hood of Indian football. You always take points from strong clubs and give point to the weak one. Last game is also like that. Hyderabad is a very in terms of player time, they are just starting their season. So your any comments on that?
No, I think Robin Hood of Indian football. I think football. Football is football is very unpredictable in respect of you can never guarantee anything in football in any game you play. The last game against Hyderabad, we should have won that game 3-4-0, certainly with the chances we had. But Hyderabad, we knew it would be a tough game because it was their first home game after everything been through. They'd got their foreign players coming back in now. They were all there to play, really. And they were at home. They were going to be spirited, which they were. But if you look, as I said before, even the game before, Mohammedan at home, we had 22 goal-scoring opportunities in that game. 7 or 6 or 7, 8 in target, whatever it was. So both games should have resulted in wins, but that's the nature of football. So the bottom line is it's what you do over the course of the season. I said that this last season when I came in and inherited a Chennaiyin team that had been nowhere near the playoffs. The only time Chennai have been in the playoffs in the last 6 years, I think, is both times when I've came to help. The first year in the bottom of the league, we took to the final, and any other day we'd have won that final as well. And then last year, inheriting the team, we added a few players, but there was players I inherited. So we had to make the best out of those players. Players that had been written off, players that people deemed, oh, they're not good enough for that. And I told them at the start of the season, it's never how you start, it's how you finish. And we were in those playoffs in merit. And even the game at Go again, away from home, was a difficult game. I mean, could easily have been the other side, that could easily have won the game. So the point is, it's what you do with your club. There'll be points dropped, there'll be points gained. But the important thing is what you do over the course of the season. So what we've shown is certainly myself coming into the league with, which people would say is smaller budgeted clubs, to go to a final, be in the playoffs, to win a shield with Jamshedpur. Never been in the playoffs, that club. Won a shield. I think my work speaks for itself. That's the quality you have. You don't want the English Premier League without being a very, very good coach. So we've shown. Do we want to drop points against teams? No. But the nature of the league is you're never going to win every game. So what we have to do is make sure that every time we play, we give our very best. And sometimes, maybe your striker's misfiring, maybe it goes by the post, maybe there's an uncontrollable, maybe there's a decision that goes against you. The bottom line is you have to stay focused for the duration of the whole league and make sure you look to arrive in those playoffs to give yourself a chance to win that cup. And that's what we'll look to this season, as will North East. I think it's been exemplary, the work that Juan Pedro's done. I love coming here. I mean, the fans, Guwahati itself, the people, they're passionate about their football. They love it. The pitch is always nice. I think it's a very good footballing arena. So, we're looking forward to a very tough game against very, very good opponents.
You're someone that has already coached in ISL for some time now. Do you feel this is the most competitive season yet in the ISL? And also given the way certain teams, that were set to be the front runners for the league have actually had a very poor start. So
I think you'll find that certainly the big clubs, as they are, and they're the big clubs because they spend far more money than the rest of us. And when you spend big money, what you do is you get ready-made players. And that's why I think there's a lot of similarities, Chennaiyin and North East, in terms of how we try to do it. Because our models are based, obviously everybody has a quota of foreigners, but then in terms of Indian domestic players, our models are based on trying to rear our own young players to bring them through, not quite ready-made players. Because if you have that budget, you go and you buy the best Indian players available. They're ready-made. They're all international players that come in, and that's what the big clubs do. And good luck to them. That's the model. Again, ours is slightly different. We like to get young, aspiring players. You mentioned earlier, I go to clubs that players aren't starters in that team, and I bring them in, and we hopefully help them to develop and grow into wonderful players. Young Boris, for example, they couldn't get a game. ATK would bring them in and they develop into really, really top players. So that's what we try and do, and we'll do that again. So, but in answer to your question, yes, I think the league is going to be very competitive. I think what happened last year, without dwelling on it, is that probably the top 5, we allowed them all to get away, and there was that gap. What happens is when you start really well, which is important, and you can get that kind of buffer, that when you lose a game, it doesn't hurt you as bad as when you've had a slow start, then you're playing catch up. Because any game you lose then, it's like double, because you've been trying to catch a gap. So that's why obviously everybody always wants a good start, but it's important that you finish strong ultimately and get that balance. But this year I think it's going to be certainly more competitive in respect of saying, I think last year probably from, if we're honest, probably from November, we thought, right, those 5 they're certainly the top 5 in the playoffs. Who's going to be 6th? Which was us, coming from the bottom. because we showed a host of qualities that's required to do that. With some big games you mentioned earlier, the North East game, Jamshedpur late on, huge games, and again that was partly because we had a backlog of home games to play, because similar to this year, we were faced with, I don't know how the schedule works, but 7 of our first 10 games are away from home. But anyway, it is what it is. But what we know is if we can gather points on our travels, it will serve as well for those home games to come. So we have that mindset, we have that belief. But yeah, and answer your question, yeah, I think for me, it's going to be a very competitive, hopefully the best season yet in ISL, in terms of not being predictable. The teams feel, oh yeah, we have a real chance, and every game is ultra competitive. So I look at the teams and I think, wow, everybody certainly has improved. The gentleman mentioned Hyderabad are going to cause problems for teams for sure, because not only have they got, I think, some good foreigners that I seen last time out, what they have is the Indian players they have that they have brought in. They've got some very good young boys, as you know, with Rabi and these boys, Saji, the boys sent. So already they're existing players, but the Indian players they brought from ISL clubs, those boys now have a real point to prove, to show, we might be at Hyderabad, but we are capable of playing. So that's a great thing to have. And Tang Boy, somebody, I'm going away on a tangent, forgive me, but Tang Boy, somebody I really get a high opinion of, terrific coach. And for me, it's great as well as a foreigner to see the Indian coaches coming into the league and doing well, because ultimately we're here for a short time. For the longevity of the game, you not only want to develop Indian players, you want to develop Indian coaches. That's really important for the growth and the development of Indian football. So I know it's a long answer, but yeah, the league's going to be very tight, it's going to be very tough, but we're really looking forward to it. What we want is an exciting league. We want to get into a game that we think, oh, how's that game going to go? Because you don't know, because everybody's quite even, and I think that will help everybody.
You have a very in your squad, you have a very potential, one of the best goalkeeper in the past in the ISL, Nawaz, and he did not get too many chances for either Apsigwa and then Mumbai City FC. So, and also in he joined your squad, but also did not get that chances. Is there any chance of him getting the number 1 position in goal?
Yeah, well, listen, 100%. So, there's two things. One, obviously Samik, who's played, who we have very high hopes for, another very young goalkeeper, Samik. And but Nawaz was injured all pre-season, so he wasn't in a position for him and Samik to fight for that slot because he was injured. But now he's getting back to health. He played 90 minutes the other day against Goklam Kerala, which is important. He did a little minor, just a little, don't want to call it a little procedure to do with his nose during the international break as well. But as I say, he played the 90 minutes. Now he's getting back to full health. So now we have real competition. We have a real fight on between Samik and Nawaz. And I signed Nawaz for a reason. I'm the same as you. When I came in season 6, 1920, Nawaz had just come into that very good Goa team, if you remember them. Team that won the Shield. Nawaz was out. For me, he was outstanding goalkeeper in the league. And people always said, about his height, this and that. I had Debjit last year. Debjit was outstanding. So the important thing is that the goalkeepers are able to make the best of their abilities, which Debjit and Nawaz and these boys have. So for me, it's going to be a really good fight between Nawaz and Samik, and that's what we want. We want competition in every place, as Ankit will tell you, which is important, because then nobody can ever feel relaxed that, even if I have a kind of a below par game, I'll still play because I don't really have any competition. So yeah, an answer to you, yes. We hope Nawaz gets back to the levels that we believe he's been before, because if he does, then we're going to have a very good goalkeeper on our hands. And that's, again, part of what I spoke about before. Sometimes you go to clubs that players aren't playing for whatever reason, but you know, or you certainly believe in them, that they have those abilities. And I've done that everywhere I've been, for a number of reasons. One, that we don't have the funding to go and buy ready-made players. More often than not, Chennai have lost very good players. And that's fine, we can cope with that. If you think about, a Shanti, a Vishal Kaith, a Tapa, a Deepak, or a Haim now, obviously, to audition. That can happen when players are coming out of contract, or clubs come and they pay a fee for them. We have no problem with that. We wish those boys well. They've been great servants for our club. And when you've been at a club, you're always part of CFC. That's how we work. But what we do moving forward with these group of boys we have, boys that have shown, this young man next to me, he's excelled. People wrote him, I don't know why, because I always remember him playing against me and being really competitive. So when I was coming in and he was one of my squad and I heard him, I look forward to working with him. And he's continued. There's more to come from him, and he knows that. But when he's focused and concentrated, he's shown what a wonderful player he can be in the league, and that's what we need moving forward from every one of them. But I think Ankit has a tremendous spirit about him, tremendous drive, and he wants to do well for his club, his teammates, and that's a great thing to have.